Hello, my loves. Welcome to another episode of the Becoming You podcast. Today, we're going to be talking all about the benefits of breathwork, more specifically, how breathwork has impacted my own life in more ways than I can count. But today, I'm sharing with you 5 very specific benefits that I personally have experienced. And as a result, it has made my life exponentially better. So for those of you, if you are brand new to my podcast, which is possible, I first want to explain what breathwork is. So breathwork, I want you to think of breathwork on a spectrum, right? It's not this or that. So breathwork is basically where you are using the power of your breath to make certain changes emotionally, mentally, physically, spiritually in your body. Now, the breath is the one of the many things that we all have in common, right? We all breathe the moment we come out of our mother's womb. And it's also the single function in our bodies that we can control consciously and unconsciously. So obviously when it's unconscious, you're not controlling it, it happens by itself. It is the only thing in your body that you can go from it being unconscious to then being conscious of it and being able to control it. If you think about it, there's like really nothing else like that in our bodies. Like your heart, you can't consciously change its heart rate, but through the breath, your heart rate can change, right? So your breath is one of the most powerful tools that we have access to change and transform ourselves. And your breath dictates your physiological state. It affects your biology. What I mean by that is when you breathe, when you're in a state of, let's say you're getting ready for an all hands meeting on a Monday morning and you're going to be leading it and you're super stressed, right? As you are working on this, either on a Sunday or a Saturday, which hopefully you're not, but maybe you are. Maybe your, hands start to clam up, your heart starts to race. We have all of those signs, right? That we know I'm stressed. And one of the first things to happen to make your heart rate fast and to make your hands clammy is that your breath will get shorter, right? Your breath will be shallow. It might start to get a little bit faster. It might not be noticeable to you, but that's what your body is sensing. And as that starts to happen, your body is now sending a loop back signal where it goes, oh my gosh, she or he is under a stressful state. Their heart rate's picking up, their breath is getting shallower, which means that they are being attacked or they're under danger or they're being threatened. We are not safe, right? And then what starts to happen is your body starts to shut off what it considers not essential things, right? Which is why your hands might get cold or clammy. It shuts off blood flow that is not necessary. And it's only focused on survival activities, which is to keep your breath going, which is to, keep your heart rate, keep you really, really alert, but not focused, right? So it shuts off everything else that it considers not necessary to thrive and only keeps those things that are necessary to survive. Now, in that moment, if you catch yourself and you go, oh my God, I'm clenching everything, I just need to chill out, right? And then you start taking in slow, deep breaths. You bring yourself into the present moment. And then your body starts to take its cues from your breath and it goes, oh, she's moving into a more relaxed state, or what we call a rest and digest state. So now it notices that you're breathing deeper, which then it goes, I can afford to slow down her heart rate. It doesn't have to be so fast anymore. So your heart rate starts to slow down. Now it says, oh, I can pump blood to other parts of her limbs that I've shut off. And it starts to do that. And then your brain starts to calm down and you start thinking a little bit clearer, right? And your chest expands. So you start to take in more oxygen. And then that positive feedback loop now loops over and over and over. So this is what I mean by your breath has the ability to change your physiological state as well as your biology, right? And obviously, the more we can be in a rest and digest state, the more clarity we have, the clearer our brains are, the more relaxed we are, the more joyful we are, And that's what I'm going to go into and talk to you about all the other benefits that happen. Now, in the beginning of this episode, I said, breathwork is on a spectrum. Lots of people are very familiar with deep breathing when they do like yoga, or you might be very familiar with like box breathing, where it's like you inhale for a count of 4, hold for 4, exhale for 4, hold for 4. So you're like, if you are watching the YouTube video, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, you're inhaling, you hold for 1, 2, 3, 4. So you go across and then you exhale 1, 2, 3, 4 down, and then you hold for another 4, right? So it's like the pattern of a box. That's why it's called box breathing. Or you have the 4, 7, 8, where you inhale for 4, you hold for 7, you release for 8. So those are like on one end of the spectrum, where they are calming breaths designed to help bring you from like a very nervous state to a very relaxed state. That's one aspect of breath work. And then at the other end of the spectrum, which is what I do, I guide you in a safe environment to get yourself into a very specific breath so you can tap into a deeper conscious meditative state. This is not calm breathing. This is putting your body under specific duress with a very specific intention. It's not to simply stress you out, but it's to help you get you deep into your body so you can tap into areas that you could never tap into on a conscious level. And there are very specific breathwork patterns that help you tap into the sympathetic nervous system as well as the parasympathetic nervous system. So the sympathetic nervous system is the flight or fight response. And the breathwork pattern that I give you gets you into a flight or fight response, but with an end result in mind. It's not to just to simply put your body into a stressful state, but breathing that way gets you into a state, unhooks your mind and gets you into a body. And then I get you into a parasympathetic state to like calm down, right? But all of this is done very safe. You don't even know it's happening. It's very gentle. It's guided. So when I'm explaining it, it might feel like, oh my God, like, why would I want to do that to myself? Well, the reason you want to do this to yourself is because there are lots of stuck energy and emotions in our bodies that we suppress, repress, we never ever release, and we just forget and we move on. And we think we moved on, but you have not. All of these are things that are operating under the subconscious, unconscious level that are patterns. So let me give you an example, right? So one of the things that I've had to release, this is when I first started doing breathwork, was, I was being led by my own mentor in this breathwork state of releasing things that made us feel small or insignificant or really hurt us in life that maybe at the time didn't feel like it impacted us much. And one of those incidences, I saw myself being like one bullying incident where a boy in school had come up and he tapped me on my shoulder, but I didn't know it was him. So I turned around and he literally slammed a snowball in my face, right? That was it. He did that and he walked away. I was so shocked, like that happened. I was just speechless. I was probably around 11 or 12. And I just, at that time, like I had no idea what to make of it. So what happens? So obviously then I went and told one of the teachers, like there was a complaint that was filed. I don't really know whether he got any repercussions. I know the school talked to him, but I don't know whether he was, like suspended for 5 days, whatever. I have no idea what happened to him, right? I just remember feeling so hurt and shocked that this happened. But I just moved on really quickly. Like I didn't dwell on it when I was a teenager at the time. But during this breathwork session, 20 years later, 20 odd years, 30 odd years later, right? This memory pops up and I'm like, what the heck? Like, why is this coming up, right? And in that moment, what I'd felt was completely powerless. I'd felt rejected. I'd felt ashamed that somebody could do that to me and I didn't stand up to them, right? So all of this so this is trauma, right? Like, yes, it's bullying. Everybody goes through some aspect of this in their life, but it's also trauma. And what trauma is you don't have the ability or the tools to process and complete what happened to you, right? That particular memory and incident was incomplete because I lost my power and I never got my power back. Like I didn't get to talk to him at the time. I didn't tell him how he made me feel. Maybe I knew what happened at the time, but that memory is incomplete, right? And loss of memory is very common when you have such ups and downs in life. But that memory is like kind of stuck in my body, right? Because there was no completion. There was no, how do I put this? There was no feeling of, I took my power back and I felt closure. Like there was none of that, right? And sometimes we wait for closure based on somebody else's apology. Well, that's obviously not going to happen because I have no idea who the heck he is and where he lives right now. The way to do, so how that memory impacted me is I realized that I lost a little bit of my power, a lot of my power, and he took that power away without my permission. And I don't have to wait for him to give it back. I get to take it back. And I did that during the breathwork session by various things, right? Like your body gets to process that. But what I realized is that all of these years, that memory was stuck in my psyche and in my physical body. And every time that I had to stand up to someone who was maybe physically bigger than me, or I put them on a pedestal, like that energy would carry, like I continue to lose my power whenever I come across somebody who I feel is more intimidating than me. And I play small, right? Like that incident in the playground made me feel really insignificant and small and powerless. So if you don't take parts of your power back, that will continue to play out in your present day and it will show up in different ways where you continue playing that loop and you keep telling the story of like, I'm not as powerful as I want to be. So when I went back in that breathwork session and I closed that loop where I got to stand up for myself and I got to tell him, no, like you don't get to treat me like that. Yes, it's all in my imagination, but my subconscious and my unconscious got to take my power back so that my current conscious self then feels fully in her power because she took her energy back. And she told that, and in that breathwork session, I yelled, no, stop, no. Right. And it felt so freaking good. Like talking about it now, I got goosebumps in my body. So this is the power of the breath work that I guide people through, because deep breathing, box breathing doesn't get you into the state, right? It doesn't get you into the subconscious and the unconscious state. So now let's talk about the benefits, the unexpected benefits that I personally have recognized. And it's just been incredible. So number one is I have become the parent that I have always dreamed of becoming. When my kids were little, I was just also starting out as an entrepreneur. So I had all of these different roles that I was playing and I was trying to prove myself to the world. And I resented my kids for how much energy and attention they needed from me, even though I was the one who opted to have them, right? There was so much unresolved trauma there, which is why this was happening. And deep down, I felt guilt about the type of parent I was. I was this awful parent who just felt guilty all the time about like how I lacked as a parent and how I wasn't giving them the emotional support and how I was probably ruining them. Thinking about like, why did I even have these kids if I don't want to spend time with them? But then when I did force myself to spend time with them, like I didn't want to be there. But now, it's taken me a while, but as a result of connecting again and again and again with my inner child in all my breathwork sessions and allowing her to fully express herself, all the times that she was suppressed, repressed, hurt, rejected, told she wasn't enough, told she wasn't acceptable in the way she was, I allowed her to fully express her rage and her anger in so many breathwork sessions, right? How many times as a kid have we had our voice robbed and wished with all our might that we could say something but couldn't because either that was a rule we had or, for various reasons. As kids, we lose so much of our power. So in all of my breathwork session, I would give my inner child her power back to say what she wanted, to kick, to scream, to throw a tantrum, to tell the person no, to push them away. And I would somatically and through breathwork act these out. And with all of that, she got her power back. And at every breathwork session, I would also tell her how she was more than enough, I loved her and I accepted her just the way she was, that she didn't have to do anything more than who she was to receive all the abundance in the world. So this is all programming that I'm unconditioning, right, during my breathwork session and helping her feel safe and seen and held. And as a result of that, because I fully accepted her, because I helped her feel powerful, it was so easy to transition into that parent in my real life with my own kids. So when my own kids felt like they weren't getting what they wanted, instead of suppressing and repressing their anger and disappointment and frustration, I allowed complete space, so much space, for them to express themselves, even if it made me uncomfortable, even if I didn't agree with the way they expressed themselves. I created a much safer space. And as a result of that, their tantrums would shorten, right? Or be within minutes, they would calm down because they knew, like, I already got out the stuff that I needed to. Mom knows how I'm feeling, but now I can move on because they felt safe to express it. So the more I accepted my inner child's anger, sadness, disappointment, frustration, rage, anger, and made room for her, the more I was able to accept and make room for my own kids' emotions without suppressing them. And I slowed down, right? I understood them, I accepted them. And as a result, our relationship is incredible these days. And I own it. I own it that I'm an incredible parent. Do I make mistakes? Absolutely. Do I still yell at them? Absolutely. I don't want you to think I'm a perfect parent, but the type of parent and the way I show up for them is infinitely better than who I used to be. I know, like, without a shadow of a doubt, that my kids know that mom has their back and she means it and she walks the walk and she talks the talk. Like when I say I'm a safe space and you can come tell me anything, they know it and they do. They confess things that they might not have usually. And the truth normally comes out and we deal with it in a very safe way so that they're not feeling the repercussions of lying. One of my older kids still tends to lie now and then, and we catch him out. But I make sure that he's not feeling shame about it and to encourage him to always tell the truth. All right. Number 2, better sex. So hold on to that. Okay. Here's why. Breathwork has helped me connect to my body in a very deep way. A lot of you listening to this are completely disconnected from your bodies. And the only time you connect to your bodies is when you're exhausted and you realize my physical body just cannot move another muscle anymore. Or when you are feeling maybe fits of rage or you're like super stressed. That's when you notice things like when your heart starts to tighten or race, or like when it's extreme levels, right? You're not connected to your body at other times. But so breathwork helped me connect to my body, which is where we experience pleasure, right? If you think about it, physical intimacy is felt in our bodies. And if there's shame attached to 1, your body, and 2, thoughts of pleasure or receiving pleasure, then sex and emotional intimacy becomes really, really constricted. Like if somebody never taught you how to appreciate your body and be body proud, or you have a hard time like looking at yourself when you get out of the shower, right? Because those were things that were never taught to us. Never, right? And talk off relationships and sex and pleasure like was not an open conversation or a safe conversation. Like you were maybe told the bare minimum, but you weren't sexually empowered or you weren't empowered to explore it, right? Until you're in a relationship and then you're told, be wild, like make sure your husband's happy, right? Like how is that supposed to happen if you are completely told to disconnect from your body? Like don't look at yourself that way, don't dress yourself that way because you don't want anyone looking at you. And then all of a sudden it's like, go, 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 right? There's a complete disconnect and too much of a leap for it to feel safe. So if pleasure doesn't feel safe, if pleasure doesn't feel pleasurable in your body and it feels wrong, then no wonder you're not enjoying it, right? Or it feels like a chore. So doing breath work, like I come from that line of thinking that it felt like a chore, right? And now connecting to my body and allowing it to release all the shame, not just around pleasure, but just shame in general, has made me feel safe in my body again. And therefore, sex is fun, right? If you're interested in exploring more about this topic, I have a whole another podcast episode on like sexual intimacy with my partner and how like I have personally worked on improving that. Okay, number 3, I feel so much more peaceful and calm despite what might be happening in my life. Right? This is really important. Most of us expect to feel peaceful and calm when everything is going right in our life, everything's been sorted out, all the problems have been solved, all the drama has calmed down. And then we expect to feel at peace and calm. Here's the thing, life will never do that. Well, maybe there'll be some peak phases of your life where everything is like, it just feels like too much, right? But has there ever been a point in your life everything's just been perfect and just so that you don't have to feel stressed? I'm guessing no. There's always something new that comes up in life to replace something that's left your life or to add to something that yet hasn't left your life, right? The more I breathed, the more I allowed myself to feel my deepest pain and fear, right? The lack of peace and calmness in our life comes because we are scared. There's a lot of fear that's circling our energy. There's a lot of chaos. There's a lot of what ifs. There's a lot of worry, right? There's a lot of unresolved stuff. There's a lot of unspoken stuff. And that's why we don't feel peace and calm. The more I breathed, like I was able to deal with a lot of the internal chaos that was happening and make sense of it all, again, on a subconscious and unconscious level, and work through why is it that this scares me? What is my deepest fear here? What is it that I'm trying to run away from or avoid from? And I would breathe into those scary spaces, right? Which then would lead me to some lesson or just an acceptance or a forgiveness or taking my power back, right? All the things that we've talked about. And then that would lead me to feel more grounded. It would lead me to feel more free, lighter. And again, because I was able to resolve a lot of incomplete experiences in my life that I wasn't previously able to let go of. And the more I was able to let go of things that have just been stuck in my body for many, many years, which was now manifesting as fear and insecurities and not enoughness, I was able to let go of things on my own terms and feel more at peace. Number 4, a lot more creativity. And this is because breathwork helped me tap into deeper states of consciousness where I could access creativity that I normally would not have in a conscious state, right? Where does creation come from? It comes from a higher consciousness state than the way we are in now. When we are like in a beta state, I believe that's what it is. When you're like doing all the everyday things, you just go through the automatic responses of like things that you've done before. It's all routine, right? But if you want to do something out of the box, something creative, I bet you it comes when you're in the shower, which is when you're like totally relaxed, right? Or when you're on like vacation, or when you're out of your ordinary life, doing something maybe unrelated. That's when we get the best ideas, the best sparky, like creative ideas, right? And so breathwork helps you tap into where creation comes from, which is your deeper unconscious, subconscious state where you are literally channeled and plugged in and connected to the divine, which is where creation comes from. And finally, more joy. The more I breathe, the more I calm my nervous system. Its default state is no longer flight or fight, right? And so when we're not in a flight or fight state, we're able to actually enjoy ourselves more, because that's where joy comes from, right? When we are fighting against the world, there is no joy. But when we are relaxed, there is more joy. And second of all, breath work helps you feel joy, because joy is a feeling and it's a sensation in our body. So final words, your breath is the medicine your body and your mind needs. Your breath has the ability to change and transform you, not only in the present moment, but also your entire life. So if you're interested in breathwork, remember I offer 2 full breathwork sessions every single month. And if you're not able to attend 1 or 2 in either month, that's okay. Go ahead and register anyway, because I release new dates all the time. And I cannot emphasize enough the power that breathwork has to transform your entire life. All right. I love you guys so much. I'll see you on the next episode.